The Heroes and Villains Fantasy Football Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog has just added Pick'em Scorchers, where you can win 100 times your bet. That's right, turn $5 into $500 in just one game. Plus, every Sunday they're giving away $100,000. Use promo code SGPN at Underdog Fantasy for 100% deposit bonus up to $500. And we're also brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting research platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit hofbets.com. Use code SGPN to get 50% off your first month and start making smarter bets today. Plus, the NBA is back, and so is the NBA Gambling Podcast. To celebrate, we're giving away an NBA Gambling Podcast hoodie. Head over to the sportsgamblingpodcast.com/NBA dog for all the details. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/NBA DOG. D-Gens assemble. Welcome back to Heroes and Villains Fantasy Football. I am your host, Justin Bruni, and joining me as always is my co-host and partner, Mr. Andrew, the TD King, Rob. But tonight, I think he's going as another caricature. Andrew, the people on Spotify can't see you. Let them know.
I was muted. Sorry. And you were supposed to say, "Go ahead, talk to me, Goose." Man, you missed the prime opportunity. Talk to me, Goose. Damn it, Maverick. For the people who can't see us, on the Spotify and whatnot, we are in our Halloween attire here as Maverick and Goose. Both of us rocking the nice aviators as well. Justin in his cockpit, and I'm ready to take flight as well, man.
Yeah, I'm just enjoying a nice little beverage here in the cockpit, getting ready to take flight, as Andrew's been saying like incessantly before we're getting on the show. I thought we were like prepping for an NBA show. Go check out the NBA Gambling Podcast. We're giving away a free hoodie. We got lots of good stuff for you here over at the network. But yeah, feeling good, feeling right. We're in week 8. We're going to be doing more of a like mid-season recap and talking about the second half of the year upcoming, talking about some guys that we've hit on, missed on, some sleepers for the second half, some trade targets, some sell targets. You're really just diving into a league-wide conversation. Going to keep it a little bit more lax tonight. It is Halloween week, so we encourage all of those to celebrate responsibly. Don't eat the entire bucket of candy in one night. Don't get too nasty up in the club. Have a good time. Halloween, it's fun, but it can also be wholesome.
Nice.
Nice. All right, Andrew, let's dive in here. I know you got a lot of winners, so let's start with those. Let's start with some of your heroes from this season. I'm just going to throw out the first name, Puka Nacua. I know it's the first one that's going to come out of your mouth, so I'm just going to get it out there. Talk to us about your thought process in landing Puka. What stood out for you in the preseason? You can always go back to our prior tape from the offseason from the summer and check Andrew out, check our show out when we were talking up a lot of the guys that we're going to be discussing tonight. But give the folks kind of a recap of what you saw, how you knew he was going to be a bit of a golden nugget, and what your outlook is for him for the second half of the year. Like, is he going to maintain his first half levels?
Yeah. So first part of the question is asking me how I kind of found him. Well, I mean, obviously as a fantasy person, I listen to a ton of podcasts, do a bunch of research, dive into other people's takes, and shout out Jacob Gibbs. He's on Sportsline, does a podcast with CBS as well, and he put out this stat way back early, right after the draft, of like the top 10 to 15 wide receivers coming in, what they were good at, what their air yards were like in college, just a bunch of different stats. So I saw Puka on there. He was towards the top, and I was like, who the hell was Puka Nacua? So I started to take a deep dive on him, looked at his stats from BYU, just kind of started watching tape on him a little bit. And I was like, damn, like this dude is pretty good. And he was going, way late in drafts. Wasn't, nobody was talking about him in best ball. I did see Pete Overzet as well, friend of the program. He talked about Puka Nacua and just said like, hey, this guy looks like he could be something in the NFL. And again, I just started to do a deep dive on Puka. And the more I researched about what he did in college and how wide open he was getting in college, just different stats, I really started to take a liking to him. So again, shout out to those guys. I kind of heard of Puka from other people and then did my own research and like really fell in love with him. And obviously I talked about him multiple times on the show as a late round best ball pick, round 17, round 18 in BBM. And yeah, man. So I do, second part of your question here, I do really think Puka's going to maintain what he's done. I don't know if you saw the stat, but he's actually getting more of a target share since Cooper Kupp has come back than what he did before, which is just insane. It's like 35% of the targets, whatever, is going to Puka Nacua. So I don't see the end in sight at all for him. I think it's wheels up for him. He's once again, shout out to us, but he's taking flight in the NFL as a rookie. This man is breaking all kinds of records. Fell 2 yards short of the most receiving yards through 7 weeks, right behind Jamar Chase. This dude's just electric, and a lot of these offenses are playing soft across the middle against the Rams, and that is where Puka Nacua is doing most of his damage. It's crazy. 94% of Puka Nacua's points, fantasy points, have come outside the red zone. He's getting almost no usage in the red zone. If that changes at all, this man is going to be essentially.
Yeah. No, I've been loving him. Have more of him in like dynasty leagues. I didn't draft a ton of him in Best Ball Mania, but he was a guy that like a lot of leagues I was able to even pick up for free. I'm in the middle of trying to trade for the first overall pick in a 10-team dynasty league, and the guy's coming to me for Puka, who I picked up for free. I just grabbed him off of waivers. I think the date was listed like June 17th on Sleeper. Picked him up for free. Didn't have to spend any fob. Just, oh, hey, he's still there. Cool. I'll go ahead and grab him type of thing. I drafted him like in the 5th round of one of my dynasty leagues, 4th round of another that was a little bit more, nuanced, we'll say, the crowd, a little bit more experienced. So don't have it, like I said, don't have a ton of them in Best Ball Mania, but I'm excited about, his upward trajectory, coming into the NFL. I still think that playing alongside Cooper Kupp is going to be very essential. So yeah, love the potential for the rest of the season, but I do see there still being an opportunity for some ebbs and flows. Like we did see one down week with playing alongside Cooper Kupp. So I don't expect every week to be like week 7, but I do expect very good things to come. And right now I'm in the middle of trying to trade him plus Travis Kelce plus Austin Eckler for the first overall pick next year. Mind you,
you're only getting the first overall pick.
I have the 2nd pick. So I'm going to take Marvin Harrison Jr. and Caleb Williams next year.
Man, oh God, Bernie, that's crazy to me, man. I think you're way overpaying. Take one of those players back at least.
You want to hear the rest of my team?
I mean, you're giving up potentially the best tight end and the best running back in PPR formats, as well as
dynasty.
An ascending rookie.
Dude, you would be surprised at the trades that I just get for Kelce. Like I can't even get a 1st round pick for Kelce in this league because everyone in this league is like, oh, he's old. He's old. He's old. That's it. That's all they run with. So in Dynasty, I hear you. Like in like redraft, that would be asinine. That would not be a good idea. But I would still have, let's just start with my running backs. I would still have Najee Harris. I know Derrick Henry's on here. Kyrene Williams. I'm giving up Eckler. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I wouldn't have so much depth at the running back position for sure. I think I'd actually be hurting more there because my receivers are still pretty deep. Let's see here. Hopkins, but you're going to be a nobody next year. Michael Thomas, Josh Palmer, Terry McLaurin, CD Lamb. Puka is in that mix. Do I have anyone else that's got left in my lineup? I'm like legit tanking here. And then yeah, Kelce. Like I've scored like the 5th most points in this league. It's a 10-team league, and I've had the most points scored against me. So I'm 0-7. Have the 2nd overall pick, and I just can't get into the last place. This guy behind me, he scored like 400 points less than me. There's like nothing I can do.
Interesting.
So I'm going to take both those guys. I'm going to take the top 2 picks if this guy can pull the trigger on it, but we're going back and forth here. So, and he's even telling me, he's like, oh, all these guys are old. You're offering me. I'm like, buddy, you're going to win now, pal. Like, his running backs would be Kenneth Walker, Saquon Barkley, Austin Eckler. What? He already has Sam Laporta. He can start 2 tight ends if he wants to. Like,
interesting. Huh, I don't know. It just seems like a lot to give up, but you do you, boo boo.
Thanks.
Hey,
what about Bobo? What about Bobo? No,
Jake Bobo?
Yeah, I don't think either of us got any Jake Bobo and BBM.
No. Sure. No to Bobo. All right.
No to Bobo.
But speaking of the place where we birthed Puka Nacua in the Best Ball Mania was Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy has a way to play alongside your favorite football team all season long. Underdog has introduced Scorchers. Go 5 for 5 in Pick'em Scorchers and enjoy a spicy 100 times payout. And for a limited time, Underdog is extending the first deposit bonus up to $500. $100,000 Sundays continue on Underdog Fantasy. 10 lucky players will win $10,000 each. So watch along, make your picks, and maybe make a little cash over at Underdog's mobile app or website, underdogfantasy.com. When you sign up for the promo code SGPN, Underdog will double your first deposit up to $500. That's Underdog Fantasy promo code SGPN. And NBA Underdog Contest. NBA is back and celebrate. We're giving away NBA Gambling Podcast hoodie. Head over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/NBA dog to submit a screenshot of you playing NBA Underdog using our promo code SGPN, and one random winner will get an NBA Gambling Podcast hoodie. Just go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/NBA dog. Again, that's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/NBA DOG.
All right, back in the cockpit here.
Yes, sir. So, who do you want to throw out? Obviously, we knew Puka would be the first one on the board. So who
absolutely. The biggest home run of this show from all off season was you with Puka Nacua. I'm going to argue though that Adam Thielen at his ADP just as impactful. And I know that this has been a polarizing topic on the show, and I don't want to overcover him, because I think what Adam Thielen is doing, I'm not saying that I expected it to be as efficient and the numbers to be as good. I was expecting more of a means to the average, just his career averages, but he's playing above every average of his career right now. So he's putting up impeccable numbers. I would kind of consider him a sell candidate 100% in Dynasty if you can get somebody that wants to win right now. But I still feel like in the second half, I would be willing to sell him. I feel like especially for Best Ball Mania, I think I'm asking a lot of the universe for Adam Thielen to maintain these levels all the way through the season. God bless me if he does, because I'm going to win $3 million. But if he doesn't, I'm going to say thank you to the first half of the season, and that's about it, because the numbers are there, the targets are there, and really, all these other guys that we were trying to kind of uncover in this offense have all been misses. Mingo, a huge miss at his ADP. DJ Chark, he's had 1-2 spike weeks, but again, at his ADP, you were still drafting him in what, round 14, 15? He was still up there. He wasn't like a late round darling. And he was definitely getting more love in the preseason as well. So love what I've been getting out of him. The only other one I'll throw out there at receiver is Michael Pittman. He was like my second most exposed receiver. Adam Thielen was still number 10. Again, given the age, I just wanted to get a lot of him because he's a number 1, good ADP value, number 1 receiver. But Michael Pittman, earlier ADP, a bit of a bigger commitment early on. A guy that I was able to get consistently as my 3rd or 4th receiver in best ball. Been absolutely smashing right now. Hoping that's going to stay steady with Gardner Minshew at the helm. Anything to add on those to those two?
No, I'll take it on the chin right now. I will capitulate that I was wrong on Adam Thielen. I do agree with you that it could fall off. The Panthers have told us that they are looking to try to get another wide receiver in. If that does happen before the trade deadline, I think that's a big hit for Adam Thielen. If it doesn't, like you said, it's a lot to ask of him to maintain his level of ability and opportunity that he's had so far. But he looks like, just Adam Thielen of old, right? Like it's not Adam Thielen is old. It's Adam Thielen of old. So I'll take it on the chin right now. I was wrong. I did take him a little bit in Best Ball Mania, but definitely had more Jonathan Mingo and some of these other fools over Adam Thielen. Just all the signs pointed to him having a down year, and damn, he is just he's proven us wrong, or proven me wrong. So good to Adam Thielen, but yeah, man, I just can't believe it. Every time I see it, I'm like, God, what the hell is happening?
What about the running back position? Did you have any big winners there? I mean, I didn't have a ton of like Kyrene Williams. I did have a fair amount of Nick Chubb, so that hurt. But of my teams that have been successful, you know, it's very sporadic. The running backs that I have rostered, it's not like you're seeing on all my, you know, first, second, and third place teams like similar running backs. Other than maybe Alvin Kamara, I think he's probably the most consistent of my higher scoring teams, and the teams that are, you know, in again first, second, or third place in Best Ball Mania. Anyone that you specifically want to, you know, bang or bring the drum home for?
Man, if we have this discussion at the end of the year, I might be able to say Roshan Johnson. If that dude can get off the damn report, I mean, look at what Foreman just did, right? Tell me you didn't.
I know,
Tell me you
but
don't
that's
think
Foreman,
Roshan
though.
would have just did that. I'm saying at the
I
end of the
don't
year,
know, because believe me, man, I'm a Bears fan. There's no one that wants Roshan to be more successful. We've said it time and time again, but he had opportunities to take the job. Like, he had similar volume to Khalil Herbert and wasn't taking over. That's a problem. Obviously, Donta Foreman just like, yep, I guess it's mine. I guess this is my job now. There's no one else here. Yeah, that's going to help get you 3 touchdowns for sure. But still, he's been more productive per touch, and he seems like a more valuable asset, specifically right now. Like, I can't imagine after the performance that Foreman had last week, Roshan's just going to come in and be like, oh, well, it's the Roshan show now. Like, I don't imagine that being the case. I do think he has
Raiders.
a lot. Bro, we were
Raiders
playing
are
the
awful.
Vikings. We were playing the Vikings, okay? Come on. We were playing the Broncos. Come on. Like,
Yeah, but Herbert was still there. Herbert and Roshan got hurt at the same time. So, I mean, Roshan had no opportunity to shine over Herbert.
Roshan has a less severe injury, though. He just has to clear concussion protocol, and he hasn't been doing a good job of that.
Yeah, which he should clear this week. I mean, all signs are pointing to he is going to do that now. But yeah, and then we started this conversation off by saying that if we were having this conversation at the end of the year, I think I could say Roshan Johnson. I think he's going to now be able to perform and do something in this offense. So we'll see on that. And I hate to tout an injury, but damn, my most drafted running back is Jerome Ford. That looks pretty good. I know he just has this like weird little downgraded high ankle sprain, they're calling it, or some shit. So we'll see on that. But man, when Nick Chubb went down, I mean, Jerome Ford was in for a huge day last week. He had a long 60-something yard touchdown run, 70-yard, whatever that was. Like, he was in for a massive day, then gets hurt. So, I mean, Jerome Ford looks like he will be a very good asset. And again, this is a guy we were drafting way late in drafts. When I look at my top exposures for running back, though, like, it is very on and off the board. Like, I have James Cook here, who's overall up there. I think he's like 14 or 15 right now, but like, there's been a lot of injuries. He hasn't performed extremely well. He's been efficient, but he hasn't scored a ton of fantasy points. So like, that one's kind of like in the middle. Obviously, like, Brian Robinson was good to start the year. Now he's kind of faltering, got a lot of him. There's just a lot of like weird things. Now, one guy that I think could also do very well, and I have him on a bunch of teams, including teams that I have Jerome Ford on, is Kareem Hunt. Depending on what's up with Jerome Ford, Kareem Hunt could have a good rest of season, with this offense. So like, that's somebody I'm very heavily exposed to as well. But I mean, yeah, I'm with you, man. The running backs, like, it's kind of hit or miss for me at my top exposures. Some Chuba now with Miles Sanders kind of dealing with shit. So it really depends. But I mean, there's some stinkers. Got 14% Zach Charbonnet. That sucks without a Ken Walker injury. So, but yeah, man, hit or miss with the running backs for sure.
Yeah, so my best hit was bar none David Montgomery until he got hurt. I still think he's going to be a solid play for the rest of the season, but we got to get back on the field and we have to stay healthy. But still been able to get a ton of 82 fantasy points in the games that he's played so far on Underdog. That's the same amount as Derrick Henry, and Derrick Henry's played more games. So, and Derrick Henry is my second most exposed running back. I'm hoping for that trade. Go to the Bills. Go somewhere cool with a great offense and a great quarterback, please. Maybe the Ravens, I don't know, but I have a lot of Gus Edwards, so I'm not too big on that. One of my surprising top 10 running backs that's been like kind of like serviceable on some of these teams where I just went very naked at running back, Zeke Elliott. He's got 44 fantasy points. That's just as much as Najee Harris. Like he's producing on underdog at the same rate as Najee Harris, who went in probably like what, round 4, round 3. Like I don't love myself for it. I don't feel great about it, but it's there and I'm getting them points. So I mean, I'll take it. I'd probably say my biggest loss so far, Jeff Wilson Jr. He's got less than a point, and he is my 4th highest exposed running back. Some opportunity there going forward, but you know we gotta really hit home on him, you know, to raise our advance rates for sure. I'm not seeing a lot of teams with him inside first, second, or third place, so that feels like a huge opportunity for me. If there was to be another injury, I know that Mostert right now has kind of like a little ankle, little hamstring thing going on. It doesn't sound very serious. And I don't wish anything bad on him because a lot of my teams that are performing well right now, Raheem Mostert's on them. So let's move over to the quarterback position. Big wins. What do you got? Who are your heroes?
So currently right now per Fantasy Pro, Sam Howell is the 12th current fantasy point. I don't say leader, but he's currently 12th in fantasy points scored for quarterbacks. I obviously am very exposed to Sam Howell. So that one feels decent. You know, again, a guy that you were getting way late in draft. So for where he's drafted and currently sitting as the 12th, 12 for QBs, that feels good. I would say another one for me is Trevor Lawrence has been, pretty decent, as well as Kirk Cousins. Like those guys are in my top 5 most exposed. Those are probably my biggest ones, followed by Hurts and Allen right outside of those guys. So quarterbacks doing very well. My most exposed, Derek Carr, not great. Could definitely be better there. So we'll see. But yeah, I mean, overall, my top, I would say 8, only 2 of them really aren't performing. That is Derek Carr and Kenny Pickett. Outside of that, majority of my other quarterbacks are hitting, which include, Hurts, Cousins, those guys I just talked about, and only 8 or 7% Anthony Richardson. So I don't feel so bad about him being out.
I was just muted there when I was yelling at you. That's great. That's perfect.
I was
Derek Carr also
I saw you talking, but
Yeah. Derek Carr also at the top of my exposure list. I was adjusting my mic so I could stand up, stretch the legs a little bit. Yeah, I had to adjust this camera so I get this damn Maverick thing on the screen. So I figured I might as well actually.
All you're going to see is my shirt.
Oh, I thought you were going to say your dong, so that's cool.
Oh, geez, wow.
I thought you were going to show us your goose.
Ah,
yeah,
nice.
Yeah,
my goat.
That's right. Oh. It's not a goat. Stop it. Oh, the goat. The goat.
The goat. Right,
so I'm just going to read off my top 5. I mean, it's not going very well. Derek Carr, Matthew Stafford, Jared Goff, Desmond Ridder, Dak Prescott. Desmond Ridder has just as many fantasy points in underdog as Dak Prescott. So given the ADP, that's like kind of a win, I guess. I would say the biggest winner there is Jared Goff, and the biggest loser still to me is Derek Carr. He's got a great opportunity to go forward. He's starting to really turn it up. The offense is looking better, specifically when he throws the ball a lot to Taysom Hill, which will segue us into the tight end position here very shortly because I have a lot of Taysom Hill. Things are going great. Aaron Rodgers also top 6. Ouch. He's right after Dak Prescott. You hate to hear that. But I got 11% of Patrick Mahomes. I feel good about that. 9% of Kirk Cousins. He's playing well. Bryce Young has had a couple of spike weeks. Not amazing, but your second or your third quarterback drafted. Fair amount of Justin Herbert, fair amount of Josh Allen. The teams that I'm succeeding with have these guys on them. So I drafted enough of the stars or the studs. I have like Sam Howell, for example. I just have like 5%. Brock Purdy, 5%. Jalen Hurts, 5%. Don't have a ton of those guys. I really just spread it around a lot. Trevor Lawrence, same, 5%. Joe Burrow, 6%. Anthony Richardson, 6%. So like it's kind of hit and miss, but I do have a lot of the stars in there, and they are aligning well for me. I have, 10? I have 10 first place advances, 17 second. So that's 27 total advance. What do you think my third place number is?
Ooh, like how many you have sitting in third place is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Let's go 8.
More.
15.
More.
Damn, 22.
18. Like, what the hell? I counted that up the other day. I was like, every now and again I scroll through, I check for the third places, but I'd never like really counted them through. And I was like, it's the second half now. I'm going to kind of dive in and look and, see how things are kind of, playing out. It's like third place. I'm like 1, 2. I get to like 9. I'm like, holy shit, 10, 11, 12. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? And yeah, just a ton of third place opportunities. So a lot of exposure rate, almost close to almost like 30% total. I think that's like 40 something, 47, 46. So I was pretty happy about that. Like when I look at the numbers, I'm like, man, like almost, like I said, 30% of my drafts are in the upper echelon of scoring. So feeling good about that. You know what I also noticed? Cardio drafts, not good. Not good for my advance rate.
I have one cardio draft currently advancing.
I won the race, but lost the war. You know, I'm up here, not breaking a sweat, drinking beer, drinking Heinekens, drafting beautiful looking teams, and then the dog poo.
Yeah, only one in there for me. I currently have 18 advancing and 7 in third out of my 108 that I drafted. So yeah, I feel good about those. I mean, that's like probably, what is that, like 17%, somewhere in there, 18%. Fell back a little bit. I started off the year like 22%, so fell off a little bit, but overall still feel good about that. A lot of currently 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8 draft day teams in there. So a quarter of
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, quarter of, or no, 33% of draft day I currently have advanced.
Nice.
So shout out draft day.
I love it. I love it. Draft day.
All you gotta do is stay up for 24 hours and you make good teams.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, you just keep doing it. Just keep doing it. Oh, you also get a really good feel of the drafts, right? Because when you're drafting in a period like a specific week, there's always like the reaction of news that week. So when you're doing everything all in one like that, just one after another and one after another, you're getting leverage on the competition for sure. You know, albeit, you know, you have Kramer next to you, so you have, you know, a slight disadvantage there because you have another person that's always going to.
No, he drafted all Dan Jones, so I mean, I got an advantage.
Oh, that's true. That's true. That's true. And Dan Jones looking amazing right now.
Yeah, for real though. I mean, to draft good teams, all you gotta do is stay up for 24 hours, and to craft great bets, all you gotta do is go over to Hall of Fame Bets. Win bigger by betting smarter this NFL season with Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting analytics platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Research every NFL, NBA, MLB, and soccer bet with historical stats and data. Enter any parlay idea into Hall of Fame Bets' revolutionary parlay optimizer tool to get hit rates broken down by leg, as well as an unexpected probability for the entire parlay. Sort all players by hit rate for any bet to learn which players are hot and which players have value. Stop betting in the dark and join over 30,000 users researching with Hall of Fame Bets to craft more intelligent, data-driven parlays. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit hofbets.com and use code SGPN to get 50% off your first month today. Start researching, start winning with Hall of Fame Bets.
Okay, we're back. Party on, Andrew. Hall of Fame move there. I accidentally put up the Manscaped promo on the screen, so that was smooth.
Nice. Hey, man, you're just trying to promo, you know, for clean shaven balls, which we all appreciate as well.
Use promo code SGPN if you didn't check the screen. But yeah, Hall of Fame move. I got it switched to the Hall of Fame promo. Let's talk tight ends. I was talking up Taysom Hill. I mean, I can't believe there's still been this many spike weeks for him. He's my 4th highest exposed tight end. Like, he's on all of the money teams. I mean, he's on every single one of them almost. Have a ton of him, $575. The guys I have ahead of him, I feel like are also trending in a good direction. Trey McBride, obviously with Zach Ertz getting hurt. Dalton Schultz, been, you know, becoming more relevant in the past few starts. My most exposed guy is still Tyler Conklin, and that was very much tied to the success of Aaron Rodgers, which has been none. He played, 2 snaps, a snap, not great. Regardless, he actually offers just like, you know, some dire production. Like, you know, if you just have really bad tight ends, I still have, you know, Tyler Conklin throwing me 3 to 5 points sometimes, you know, maybe a little bit less. I don't get a goose egg because I got a lot of Tyler Conklin. But within that foursome, biggest winner, definitely Taysom Hill, and biggest loser, I would say, is Ty Conklin. I also have a lot of Chig. He's like top 6. It's not great.
Yeah, my top 2, Dawson Knox and Chig, not awesome. Yeah, Not
That
great
hurts.
there. A lot of
That hurts.
a lot of Dawson Knox because he was going so late, and I'm like, this is the
Same.
starting tight end for the Buffalo Bills. Like, what are we doing, right? Well, great. Now he's having wrist surgery, out indefinitely. So no rhyme or reason. My hope there is that he is on a few teams I'm advancing right now. So my hope is that I can advance some of those teams, maybe be a little unique there, and then get him into the playoffs, and maybe he
Yeah.
becomes some sort of difference maker, has a 2-touchdown week, something I can use. So there's hope there, as well as for Chig, man. If they get rid of Derrick Henry and or D Hop, this is what happened last year, right? Is there was nobody to throw the ball to except for Chig. The
And
fucking
Traylon
wheels
Burks is
up,
hurt.
baby. I need I need some Chig bad. The guys I am hitting on that I have a lot of exposure for, TJ Hawkinson, fantastic
Nice.
right now, just
Nice.
amazing. Sam Laporta,
Nice.
again, awesome. Those are number 3 and 4 for me. And then number 5 for me, David Njoku. Kind of hit or miss right there right now. Don't love that. Right outside my top, though, are Taysom Hill and Mark Andrews. So the tight ends currently right now, besides my top 2, doing very well. I will I do like where I'm sitting with my tight ends. So we shall see. Also, Trey McBride not far behind. Another one I have up there that is puzzling to me, how he's getting like almost no work, is Irv Smith. That dude's like just like not even part of the game plan ever.
Yeah, but the first couple of games, the Bengals were a wasteland. Like
very true. But it's like nothing. He's just like forgotten about. They're like, you're just here to just be on the field as the.
I think we just have to kind of come to the realization that he's just not as good as we think he is. Like when he was in Minnesota, I mean, there was a lot of hype around him when he was younger, when he was a rookie, and now that he's kind of aged into the league a little bit, and can't stay healthy, and now that he is, still can't get any love. And you also have, the situation's not great. You have to take that into consideration. Like Tyler Boyd is actually getting a fair amount of targets. T. Higgins isn't going anywhere. He's not getting moved before this deadline. I just don't see it happening. So there's a lot of mouths to feed there. I mean, Joe Mixon's having a pretty underwhelming season, to be honest with you. But he still garnishes a lot of touches. So it's very tough.
Yes.
I really don't have anyone else to cover at tight end. Mike Gesicki was number 5 for me. I a lot of my drafts, especially the closer that we got to week 1, I really faded tight end. I was, very few, top guys being selected. I was doing like the last 3 rounds or 3 of the last 4 rounds and just, shooting darts, which is why you see a lot of Conklin, a lot of Trey McBride, a lot of Taysom Hill. But I also stacked Taysom Hill and Derek Carr quite a bit. So I'm feeling pretty good about that because Derek Carr can't throw a touchdown. I don't know what it is.
Yes, very much so. I also was stacking Carr and Hill when I could, or Hill and Kamara as well. Obviously, because Kamara was going to be out a little bit. So yeah, right. I'm with you on that.
All right, so let's move on then. Let's talk about players you want to buy in the second half. Anyone in particular come to mind? Someone that maybe you feel is buyable right now, set to finish with a strong second half or close to the year.
I mean, if you can go get Breece Hall, I like what Breece Hall is doing. I also like the usage every week over week, more and more usage. If somebody's willing to sell him for a, not our king's ransom, I would go get Breece Hall. I think that they want to be able to establish the run if at all possible. What works against them is they could be behind in more games. I know they are performing decent as of right now, but if they fall behind, where does that leave Breece within the offense? Maybe just some checkdowns to him, so it could still work. But that is somebody I'm targeting, as well as both Eagles receivers. If anybody's willing to sell AJ Brown and or Devontae Smith, they have a very good playoff schedule. I like that, they're really established with throwing the ball to AJ Brown, but I do think there's going to be some times where AJ Brown's going to get a shit ton of coverage, and that's going to leave Devontae Smith wide open or on one-on-one coverage, which he can easily beat man-to-man. So I if anybody's selling either one of those guys, I am all over them as well.
Trying to think of like some lower end targets, like not like top guys. Like I do think Isaiah Pacheco is a good buy candidate. He's still flying a bit under the radar at the running back position, as opposed to like the top guys. What's that?
Rasheed Rice. I got one for you. Rasheed Rice. Yes, very much so. Again, just saw some stats out there about his usage week over week is becoming more and more prevalent. He's getting more opportunities, more air yards as well in this offense. If he turns into the dominant one for Patrick Mahomes, you want that on your offense. So that's somebody I feel like you don't have to spend a ton to get because he's been good over the last couple of weeks, but not great. So that's somebody I think you could get for maybe like a Gabe Davis. If somebody believes that Gabe Davis is a little bit better, I would potentially make that trade, something of that nature. But yeah, I mean, I like Rashee Rice a lot.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. Like I said, I like Pacheco. Both are in a good offense, and I just feel like they're not huge names still. Like Pacheco's been playing well, but he's had some down weeks. I feel like he's viable. I'll also say Chuba Hubbard of the Carolina Panthers. I just see it still being his backfield. I know they're talking about split work with Miles Sanders coming back healthy, but he's just looked better in every aspect of the game. So I'll throw Chuba Hubbard in there. Maybe Jerome Ford on the low. You know, if you have somebody that is willing to sell him because he's hurt and they just need to buy some wins, I think Jerome Ford would be a nice stash, especially maybe if you're, you know, if you're a 5-2 team, if you're 6-1, you know, I think that's a nice little stash on the bench for the playoffs. He's going to get that usage. Like Andrew said before, it doesn't sound like it's that serious. CJ Stroud, I'm going to throw him in as well. I think that he's going to have a fantastic finish, has a great schedule. And really anyone on that offense, I'm buying Houston Texans right now. Give me Dameon Pierce for the finish. Give me Devin Singletary. Give me Tank. Give me Nico. I mean, if you have to, if you really do, go after Robert Woods, he'll get a fair amount of snaps. He'll play. You know, it may not be sexy every week, but if you're really, really hurting, or it's a very deep league, he could be an option for you. I'm buying Texans right now. What are you going to say?
So I was going to throw three guys that I feel all have opportunities to do well within their own offenses. They just really haven't done spectacular. One of these guys has been okay a couple times, but not great. And that's Romeo Doubs, Jahan Dotson, and Quentin Johnston. Any love for any of these guys rest of the season? Do you see the value and the opportunities that these guys could have within their offenses? Do you think that we could see a breakout from Quentin Johnston? He's done dickus so far, but this offense is very high potent. And I mean, really, why did they go get this guy if they're not going to use him? I feel like one of these weeks is going to turn it around.
They needed the depth. I think that was a big, lacking for them last season.
Well, they
I
took
feel
him
like
over Zay Flowers and Jordan Addison. It's like, what the fuck are you doing? Both those guys are.
This happens all the time, though. This stuff like this happens all the time. But yeah, those guys don't have Keenan Allen and Mike Williams ahead of them. Obviously, Mike Williams gets hurt. Yeah. Josh Palmer now, he's been playing well, and he had already been there. He had more experience with Herbert, obviously, than Quentin Johnston. But Palmer, he could be hurt this week. He's got a little bit of an injury. He's a bit dinged up. Maybe Quentin Johnston does get his opportunity this week and splashes a little bit. That's not an overwhelming conviction to go out and buy him, but if you can get him for cheap, I do think he is worth a stash. Who were the other two names you mentioned?
Jahan Dotson and Romeo Doubs.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Dobbs was getting touchdowns when Christian Watson was out. He got one last week when they're playing together. Great matchup this week going up against the Vikings. Good schedule. I definitely like him. I already forgot the other one you mentioned. Oh, Jahan Dotson. He had a better week this past week, right? I mean, they're passing the ball a ton. They're passing the ball a ton. I don't hate it. I just don't want to. I don't want to lose that trade. You know, like if I'm getting in that trade, I got to really feel like it's a healthy swap or I'm winning it, because I feel like I'm exposing myself to some risk there. Like he's had a down year.
This
less
week
than expectation.
Alone, this week alone, I've seen Dotson dropped in a few of my leagues. Like if you can pick him up for free, dropped. If you can pick him up for free. Yeah, and you have a spot that you don't really care about somebody on there, I would definitely just stash him for now and see what happens, because, man, like you said, they're passing the ball a shit ton. They're behind in a lot of these games. Like they can't just establish the run like they want to. And Dotson's going to have better games. I mean, he really took this drop that he had, at the end of the game last week to heart. He talked about it this week. I think that, this man, I watched him in college and I've watched him obviously, every game that he's played in the NFL. He prides himself on being able to catch the ball. That drop's going to kill him, and I really think that he's about to come back and have a better second half to the season. So just a couple guys that I think that could have some opportunity in the second half of the season that you can get for very, very low.
Let's talk about guys. Oh, go ahead.
No. I was just going to start going through some running backs that I like, but go ahead.
No, I was going to ask you about some of these guys that could potentially be on the move. Who would best be fit for an improve? I guess all these guys would be improved, but what do you think about the potential trades for like DeAndre Hopkins, Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, Derrick Henry? maybe even Devontae Adams. Who do you think would benefit the most in a new spot? I mean, obviously, any of these guys getting
I
on a new
mean,
team, the team giving up whatever they are for them are going to prioritize and use them. So, who's in most need of a facelift, of a new home here?
yeah, I mean, this is a loaded question because really it just depends on where they go. I think
Mm-hmm.
Derrick Henry would be the most valuable one because of what we've seen him do, especially in
No.
the red zone. Like, let's say he goes to the Bills, right? They have James Cook that they could use a lot between the 20s, but damn, Derrick Henry could score himself a fuck ton of touchdowns in this offense in the red zone. So, like, that one's interesting for touchdowns alone. The Ravens are interesting as well for him. I think he would be used more there between the 20s than he will in Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, out of the receivers, you said the one that kind of stuck out to me that I think is a good wide receiver that is not being utilized very well where he currently at, and I think he's disgruntled being there, is Jerry Judy. Depending on where he goes, he could benefit a ton. You said
Mm-hmm.
Devontae Adams. The Raiders kind of made it clear that they ain't trading him. I think they'd rather have him just say,
Should.
"Fuck you, I'm going to sit."
They should.
Like
Trade him.
I just
Please
don't
to
think
God,
that they're going
trade
to
him.
trade him. Yeah, I think they should too, but I don't think they're going to. That he would be the biggest winner if I really thought he's going to be traded. I just don't see that happening.
What do you think about DeAndre Hopkins? I mean, I don't know why he did this to himself. He cornered himself with the
He
Titans.
did. You
We
remember he
we
said he
talked
wanted to
about
go to
this.
a team that was going to
Good
win.
defense.
Wow.
Yeah, good defense and gonna win. That's what he said. Fucking idiot.
Yikes. Yeah,
Like, why do
he
you like?
chose
And
the
then
money.
he exactly, and he just choose a poor team. You chose Ryan Tannehill as your quarterback, man. Come on, come
Yeah.
on.
If
None
I
of
was
these
him,
dudes are
I would have
dogs
took a
anymore, man.
lesser deal and went to the Chiefs or the Bills. Both of them were interested in him. They
Yeah,
just didn't want to give him the money he wanted, and now he's
bro. The
paying for it.
Eagles
He
would
ain't
have
gonna
taken
win
him
no.
too.
Yeah,
Give
I
him
mean,
that
you
Julio
could.
money. That Julio money.
There's a ton of places that would have taken DeAndre Hopkins.
Oh yeah.
I do think that he could bet. He obviously would benefit going somewhere else. I just don't know of where he would go that would benefit him the most. That would be
Didn't he?
actually a viable option.
Didn't he say he would go back to Houston now?
Yeah, but what the fuck does Houston want him for? They already have two good rookie guy, or not. Nico Collins
Why
isn't a
not?
rookie, second
Why
year guy,
not?
but they have Tank Dell. I don't know because it just. I mean, why go spend a bunch of money on an
Because they
old wide
can't run the
receiver?
ball.
Well, that's kind of an offensive line issue. If anything, they should go get an offensive lineman.
Well, yeah, but no one's giving those up. People are giving up
No,
disgruntled receivers.
no. Believe me, as a Washington fan, I know everyone's keeping those close to the vest, except for
It would
Garrett
be
Bowles.
yeah, it would be awesome if we had offensive linemen like receivers with like attitude. I mean, I know they have
There's
attitude.
some out there with
They're
attitude.
they're in the trenches. They're going to war every single play. But you know what I mean? I would love me an offensive line diva. You know, like Marquise King when he was the punter. He was a diva punter. I was all about it. I'm like, I love it. Doing a ton for punting. Not as much as Pat McAfee, not even close. But Pat McAfee, he was a personality on the punt squad. Come on, like that's awesome. Like you love to see that.
Yes.
It's like running backs and receivers are the only ones that have anything to actually say. Quarterbacks are just like, yep. Yeah, I saw what you saw out there. Yeah, that's right. Yep, team effort. Yep. Win and lose with them. Yep, that's right. Tight ends, they don't give a shit. It's a party in that locker room. The George Kittles, the Travis Kelce's, Mark Andrews maybe a little bit more tame, but I know he's hanging out with Justin Tucker, and that dude's a fucking boss. So I mean, a lot of personality at that position as well. All right, let's move on. I'm going to ask you about ranking some players the rest of season. We're going to do rank 3, and you're going to tell me who you prefer 1, 2, 3, most to least.
What position?
Rest of season. Quarterback.
Okay, quarterback. All right.
Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence, Brock Purdy. Who do you like most going forward? 1, 2, 3.
Burrow, Lawrence, and Purdy. That one's a very good one. I'd say Purdy's last for me. Very game manager, and they have CMC. CMC is dominating everything for them. So he's last for me. Man, Burrow and Lawrence. Oh, shit. That is so close for me. It's not even funny. If I knew T. Higgins was going to be healthy the rest of the season, it's Burrow all day. They're very close for me. I will probably... God, dude, that's so... You know what? I'll take Lawrence. And I think the deciding factor for me is that Lawrence can run the ball way better than Burrow can. I
That's
think
fair.
Lawrence has the ability to get us fantasy points
Mhm.
via running and rushing touchdowns. Burrow really isn't going to have that. So I think I'll take Lawrence over Burrow, but it's extremely close for me. Very, very close.
So I'm going to go Burrow, Purdy, Lawrence. Yeah, that's right. Burrow, Purdy, Lawrence. And that's only because Purdy and Lawrence, they have the top 2 rushing running backs in the league in Travis Etienne and CMC. CMC just 1 touchdown behind Christian McCaffrey this season. Jags want to run the ball. Like, they get into the red zone and they're not really going to take risks. And Trevor Lawrence has still kind of been subpar. Like his numbers have been good some games, but he's also regressed below his averages in a few, especially games where Travis Etienne is, busting his nut. So I'm going to go Burrow, Purdy. Purdy's in just, the more offensive, more offensive offense, more explosive offense. They're always putting up points. They're always down in the red zone. I still feel he offers a safer floor just given the efficiency of his offense. And then Burrow, I mean, there's no one that I feel like is going to throw the ball more than Joe Burrow in the second half of this season. The teams have been bad, and they're still 3-3. So I'm expecting big things from this team post-bye. I think that they're gearing up to come for this league right now. I don't know if it's, if that means passing 55, 60 times a game or, trying to get Joe Mixon rolling, but the offense is going to be better after the bye. I firmly believe that. And again, just like chasing the most upside there. So Burrow, Purdy, and Lawrence for me. We're going to go over to the running back position. We're going to say, Damian Pierce, Rashad White, Bijan Robinson. Bijan Robinson, Rashad White, and Damian Pierce.
That is Bijan, Pierce, and White for me. That one's pretty easy for me. I like Bijan the most for sure. Based on Bijan for me would be based on offensive line and opportunities. Damian Pierce, I like his opportunities still, even though Devin Singletary, our boy, is knocking on the door there to get closer to a probably 60-40 split. But the offensive line is not very good right now. And Rashad White is just all around abysmal. This Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense can't get going on the ground. He's been very inefficient. I think one of the worst, most inefficient seasons we've seen from a running back. He's just not very good. I think that they start to get Sean Tucker a little bit more involved. And honestly, I wouldn't even be surprised if they end up trading Rashad White. If some RB needy team wants to take a shot on him next year, it won't surprise me. So White is far behind those other guys. Bijan definitely in front of Pierce for me.
Rashad White leading the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in all-purpose yards tonight.
Wow.
It's looking better.
Wait,
still got him in third here.
Godwin?
Yeah, he has, Rashad White has 39 rushing yards and he has 36 receiving yards. He has 4 catches.
Oh, okay.
It's tonight. It's tonight. Yeah. I'm not saying like, the tide has changed. Rashad White. He would still be a buy low candidate for me because he's going to play a lot of snaps still. No, he's not a pure powerful runner. You got to get Rashad White out into space, and they haven't done a great job of that. So I do have him in third here. And then Pierce and Bijan. So maybe it is easier than we think. I think Bijan is still in line for a strong second half. While we have seen the frustration out of Arthur Smith, the play calling, the running back usage, this team's got a winning record. You know what I mean? And I feel like the usage of the running backs has played into that. Also, shout out Desmond Ridder, 4 game-winning drives, leads the NFL right now. Just saying. So I like what they're doing over there, and I still view Bijan as a top 10 guy. I'll go Pierce again just because of like red zone touches. Like, he is still a powerful runner. If that offensive line can get going, he could definitely have a much better finish to the year rather than the start. And his matchups are a lot better down the stretch. And like you said, Rashad White, there's just not enough there. And like what Tampa's doing tonight, just underwhelming at times. They've had a few good games that I think that we don't want to over buy into those narratives, right? Like, Baker, still not an amazing quarterback. They're probably not going to the playoffs. Team could fade as the season goes on. I wonder if Mike Evans gets traded this week.
Man, that would be awesome for him.
That would be interesting. Deadline is Tuesday, by the way. If you didn't know, listeners, deadline is Tuesday.
Halloween.
Oh How about that? How about that? Little trick or treat. Little trades or teats. If you're still in the chat, be sure to smash the like button. Download the podcast on Apple and Spotify. We're going to do rank 3 receivers. Let's stay with the Jags a little bit here. Let's go Calvin Ridley, Garrett Wilson, Nico Collins, rank 3. Nico Collins, Calvin Ridley, Garrett Wilson, rest of season.
Ridley, Wilson, and who?
Nico Collins.
Ridley, Wilson, and Collins. Damn. I guess I'm still gonna say Garrett Wilson first. Man, that's so tough to say though. Well, I mean, he doesn't have a lot of people to share the targets with. The problem for me is the targets could be not very good. Zach Wilson is still not a good QB. And I like Breece Hall a lot. So man, you know what? No, I changed my mind. I'll go Ridley first and then Wilson, followed by Collins.
Disrespect for Nico Collins.
Well, I mean, I don't know. He has Tank Dell too. I like Collins, but I mean, it's Garrett Wilson and Calvin Ridley. They're both very, very, very good wide receivers, and I just refuse to believe that their talent doesn't win out here. So it's close for Ridley and Wilson for me. Collins a little bit behind them, but I still like Collins. I like Collins a whole lot. I just think I'd prefer those other guys.
I'm gonna go pretty opposite. I'm gonna go Collins, Ridley, Wilson. Big believer of Garrett Wilson to start this season. Drafted a lot of them. He's not on any winning rosters, pal. 0. He ain't there. It ain't those teams. Those teams have Aaron Rodgers. They have that stack going on. He ain't there. It's just tough for me to buy, like you kind of said, like he doesn't get high value touches, right? His targets, they just move the chains. They're not really meant with purpose. Collins, he's got one of the best quarterbacks statistically right now in the league, and rookie CJ Stroud. Calvin Ridley has one of the more efficient quarterbacks in the league in Trevor Lawrence. So chasing better QB situation, team scoring more points, more red zone opportunities. Collins is a guy that can lead his roster in targets. I guess Garrett Wilson can, but again, like what is that, 6, 7? They're going to run the dog piss out of the ball. They still got Dalvin Cook. Spent a little bit of change on him. He's going to get some touch, going to get some love in the second half. Not to say anything bad about Breece Hall, but, you know, they're going to ride those guys a ton. They're going to ride them a ton. The target share just isn't there for me. So, again, I've got Collins, Ridley, Wilson. All right, tight ends. Then we'll get into some sell candidates and head on out. All right, here we go. Jake Ferguson, Dallas Goedert, Evan Ingram, rest of season. Jake Ferguson, Dallas Goedert, Evan Ingram, rest of season. 1, 2, 3. Talk to me, Goose.
Nice. There you go. You used it. I love it. This one again, easy for me. It's Goddard, Ingram, and then Ferguson. Ferguson well behind them. Love the offenses much better for Philadelphia and Jacksonville. Dallas's offense is duty. They're already talking about potentially trying to also trade for Derrick Henry or one of these running backs. I like Ferguson as a tight end. Like I do like him. I just he doesn't strike me as a guy that can go 6 for 70 and a touchdown in a game. Both Ingram and Goddard do. Like their ceiling seems much higher than what Ferguson's could be. So yeah, again, for me, Goddard, Ingram, and Ferguson.
Ferguson's had some pretty good weeks, but he's also had some very low weeks. So I do agree with you. I am putting him down in third, and that Dallas offense has not been impressive. Like, man, Mike McCarthy, is he still calling plays? Am I still in the know on that? Did something change? Because it's been bad. Like, give it up, bro.
I think he is.
Yeah, so I'll actually go Evan Ingram over Dallas Goedert just because of how volatile the production has been behind AJ Brown and DeAndre Swift. Like those two plus Jalen Hurts, they've become a vicious triangle of offense, and it's kind of kept Dallas Goedert and Devonta Smith on the outs. So there's been just a little bit less consistency there. Evan Ingram really not that much, not that different of a situation in Jacksonville. You've got Ridley there. You've got Travis Etienne. You've got Christian Kirk. There's a lot of mouths to feed, but at the same time, the running game is moving the ball. They're getting into scoring territory a lot. So it's really close, but I'll go Ingram, Goddard, and then Ferguson. Ferguson been a nice add for me in a lot of redraft teams, really just hurting at tight end. So love the opportunity that he offers, but I'm with you. It's just not consistent enough. Let's go into some sell candidates. We've talked about some buy guys. Let's talk about regression. Let's talk about guys that are going to fall from their numbers to finish off the season, whether they've just been a flash in the pan or you see a rough schedule ahead. Maybe they're being used too much and you expect maybe an injury or a lingering injury going on. What do you got here?
Oh, I would say, it's a good question. There's definitely guys that I'm not high on, but they're performing very well. It's hard to say so I mean, like, I would sell Travis Etienne personally. That's somebody I think that you right now. I mean, right now
huge
you
haul.
can get a
huge haul.
Yeah. I mean, it's what you could get for him, and I could still see Tank Bigsby working him more. I could see Trevor Lawrence taking games over where he just needs to throw the ball a lot. He's just Etienne's been very efficient. That can be an easy regression candidate. So I mean, I still think you can get a lot for him. Outside of Etienne, a couple other guys here. Pollard, Barkley. If anybody will give you things for Barkley, I would immediately do that. Pollard, this offense just showed that they can throw the ball very well to CeeDee Lamb and a couple of these other guys.
Who knew?
Yeah, right. Yeah. It only took Mike McCarthy a whole week to sit down and say he thought about it. He thought about how to get
CeeDee Lamb's on my team. We could use him. Fucking idiot. I can't describe how disappointed I am in that offense. Like, I'm not a Dallas Cowboys guy, but they're loaded. They've got a good offensive line. They've got a good running back. They have more depth at receiver than they've had in the last 3-4 years. They're not using Brandon Cooks well enough. They're not using Lamb well. Michael Gallup is, I guess, okay, but they could be doing more with that tandem. Like, with how good Michael Gallup has been, like, he hasn't been bad, but I was expecting him to be worse than he is. I feel like they should be way better than they are, and they have a winning record. Like, what are they, 4-2?
Yes,
psycho, fucking psycho.
Yeah. So again, those are guys for me. I was trying to look down the board here a little bit at some of these guys and give you another one that maybe is performing a little bit above where he should be performing. And man, there's just it's been a desolate kind of running back year a little bit here. Like, there's just guys
a lot of injuries
aren't performing very well that are towards the top of the list. It's hard to tell you anymore. I mean, Ramondre could be a candidate as well. He just had a good game. Maybe somebody wants to give you something there as well. But yeah, a lot of these other guys, they just haven't been performing that well or have gotten injured already. Like Montgomery. I wouldn't tell you to trade him away, but he's now injured. So I don't know. It's just hard to tell you some of these other guys. I think we.
What do you think about Saquon Barkley? The guy just keeps getting hurt, and he's only questionable right now. I mean, obviously, if you make the trade today, you're going to feel better if he misses a game. But I feel like he's definitely on the trading block at this time. Like, production's been there when he's healthy, but he just can't stay healthy. He was almost pulled out of this last game.
Yeah, and bad offense. Offense can't really get going there. They're not putting up a ton of points. Offensive line has been, inefficient to say the least. I just don't trust him with the offense. Now, granted, I'd maybe hold on to him just till the trade deadline, just in case something happens and they decide to go trade him. If he goes somewhere else, then I recant my statement here. But yeah, if he stays on the Giants, I would try to trade him. You may not get a ton. I would just try to make sure your team's getting slightly better, if at all possible. Maybe at another position, but is what it is.
Gus Edwards coming off a good week, didn't cost you a lot. Someone could be running back hungry. If you're needing, receiver depth, I think that could be a good swap for somebody. Trying to think who else here.
If you're going to make the Gus Edwards trade, I would do that before the trade deadline, just in case they go out and get Derrick Henry. People are going to give you much more now than if Derrick Henry goes there.
Absolutely. I'd throw Aaron Jones in there as well, but again, like, what are you going to get for him right now? You know, if you can sell him, great, but I don't think that you're going to get the return that you want. Trying to think, would you? No, see, I don't think someone would do Aaron Jones for Jerry Jeudy. So that would be a good pre-deadline move to make in fantasy, because if Jeudy was to get moved anywhere, you know, obviously the pasture is going to be greener regardless than Denver. I think Garrett Wilson is on that list. I know we just discussed him. I think Garrett Wilson is definitely a huge sell candidate, carries a fair amount of name brand. Trying to think anyone else. Maybe one of those other Kansas City receivers that's not Rashee Rice. If you can move any of those guys still.
Yeah, I'm looking at.
I guess Calvin Ridley too. I guess Calvin Ridley. I mean, I like him. I think he'll have a better finish, but if you can get rid of him, if you can get something for him, if you know the D-gen in your league loves him no matter what, I definitely make a move for him.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm a seller of Adam Thielen. I took it on the chin that what he's done so far, but
this
could easily fall off. If you can go trade him right now, I would immediately do that if at all possible. Amari Cooper is also somebody I would consider trading. It's had a decent season so far, but man, the wheels seem to be falling off for the Brownies here. So
I guess if anyone wants to take Deshaun Watson off your hands.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he's on the waiver wire in a lot of my single QB leagues. So
would you move Pittman?
No, but Pittman's been my guy though. Like he's, like I personally am not going to sell Adam Thielen because again, he's my guy. My prediction has hit. Everything's going well. Why would I stop believing in, my take, right? Like, why would I?
Just the resurgence of Josh Downs, and I mean Gardner Minshew.
I think they help each other.
Kind of a wild card.
I think they help each other. I think because Alec Pierce isn't what we thought he was going to be, the emergence of Josh Downs overwhelmingly helps the offense. Giving Pittman that little bit less coverage, and Downs being a field breaker. We've talked about this. Pittman is more of like that possession type of receiver. You'd like to see him get downfield targets, but realistically, I prefer him in more of like the Amon-Ra role, where he's just getting very low ADOT targets and he's cleaning up, receptions and getting some yards after catch, which he has done this season. So slow and steady. I like it for Michael Pittman. And again, with Minshew there, I feel like he's going to have better stats than he would have with Anthony Richardson. He's a buy. He's a buy candidate for me. Like, go out and get Michael Pittman.
Okay. He's a sell candidate for me. I don't know. Gardner Minshew's a wild card. He's wildly inefficient at times, and now Josh Downs seems to be having a good role.
Look at his numbers under Steve Steichen though. Like he's been pretty good. Like when he filled in for Hurts in Philly, the numbers were there. While he's been filling in for Richardson, like he's had some good weeks. Last week was a good one. Weeks prior, I know there was a few, less than average starts, but they're a power running team. You got Zach Moss, top 5 running back in the league, and then you're bringing back Jonathan Taylor, who was a top 5 back last year. Like it's crazy. Or 2 years ago, maybe. I don't know about that. I don't know about last year. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, they have the weapons to move the ball. So I think they're kind of a sleeper team for the second half. 2 good running backs, like you said, Josh Downs emerging, Michael Pittman already playing very well. If they could get a tight end really rolling there, whether it's Kyle Granson or anybody else, they could have something special cooking there. I like their offensive line as well.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Anything to sprinkle on before we head out, sir? It's fun talk. I like doing start and sits, but going around the league, chatting about the old NFL. I like it. Getting around the hot stove. Feels good.
Yes, most certainly. And if you have not already, please like the video. If you're on YouTube, subscribe, hit the notification. Make sure you're subscribed on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcast. Join us Sunday mornings, 11 a.m. for the Fantasy Lounge. That is where you will get all your start and sit questions answered. And if you have any trade talks, who should I start here? Is there somebody I should be trading away this week? Ask any and all questions for the hour that we give you on Sunday mornings to help you set your lineups and win your fantasy leagues. One last thing here, real quick for me, is a shout out to Mr. Ginder himself for the nice shirts. He did buy us these Maverick and Goose shirts, so appreciate Ginder for the Halloween attire for us. I'm sure these won't be the last time you see us. Maybe during Underdog Cardio Club next year, we'll have a take flight segment where we are in our get up here. Maybe get a nice bomber jacket going on too, something like that. You know.
I mean, we can just go on Amazon, dude, and just buy the suits. I mean, we can just buy the flight suit.
That is true. Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
we'll do that, for a cause.
We went the cheap route and just had Ginder buy us costumes.
Yes,
we didn't even pay for anything.
Shout out to him again for the nice homage shirts, by the way. Very nice feeling shirt too. Shout out homage.
It's solid shirt. It's not itching like a lot of the stuff I get from other places. So all good. All right, we're going to take off. Take care. Be well, be good. If you can't be good at it. We'll see you.